History calendar. Time is a strainer in which only the significant events stay. Wars and great revolutions, scientific discoveries and concentration camps, geniuses and villains. All these fit into the history of mankind. The historical calendar neither allows to forget about human tragedies and brilliant feats of intelligence, nor about those who stood behind them. These memorable dates are peculiar milestones in the history of mankind. A holiday with tolerant implications. July 14th, the national holiday of France. In any calendar, one may see that in France, July 14th is the national holiday of France, once marked also as the day of the Federation and the unity of the nation. Ironically enough, it has a different name in other countries in which the word Bastille is invariably present. Accordingly, it is perceived somewhat differently. Where did this inconsistency stem from, and why, unlike all others, the hosts of the holiday do not mention the Bastille? The story associated with this is quite extraordinary. The Bastille fortress was built in 1382 on the outskirts of Paris, as a fortification protecting the capital. Over time, it transformed into a prison for high-ranking political prisoners, princes, dukes, marshals, etc. However, an ironic incident occurred almost immediately after the completion of its construction. The first prisoner placed in the Bastille was Provost of Paris, Hugues Aubois, who in fact led its construction. He was accused of having an affair with a Jewish woman and sacrilege. Among the prisoners of Bastille during the 4 centuries of its existence, there were many famous personalities, such as, for example, the philosophers Voltaire and Montaigne, mystic and adventurer Count Cagliostro, and Marquis de Sade. A semi-mythical character, Iron Mask, spent many years there. Truth be told, the few inmates of the prison lived according to their status, almost like a luxury hotel. Meanwhile, by 1780, the prison had practically lost its purpose. So, on July 14th, 1789, at the time when the revolutionary crowd stormed the Bastille, there were only 4 counterfeiters, 2 mentally ill people, and 1 murderer kept there. Evidently, these 7 unknown inmates were by no means the cause of the historic capture of the Bastille. The fact is that in the popular mentality, this prison was associated with royal absolutism. It is not difficult to understand this attitude, because prisoners were sent there without trial or investigation. A note signed personally by the king and carrying the royal seal served as the entrance ticket to the Bastille. In our world of democracy and respect for legal principles, it could be called sheer arbitrariness. However, for the assault on the Bastille, the revolutionaries had cared not so much for ethical rather than pragmatic reasons, which was the Bastille's arsenal, gunpowder, and weapons, who in their same mind would refuse them when the country is engulfed in flames of revolution. The outcome of the fray between the few prison guards and the crowds had an expected outcome. There were victims on both sides, but the victory remained with the revolutionaries. Louis XIV was informed of the capture of the Bastille. He was genuinely amazed. "But this is a revolt," he said, to which he heard in response, "No, Your Majesty, this is not a revolt, it is a revolution." Later, the ill-fated king would pay with his own head for the fact that he did not manage to tell a revolution from a rebellion. The Bastille was demolished precisely as a symbol of royal absolutism. The progressive factions of the society of the time, in spite of the fact that internet and Facebook did not exist back then, getting wind of the fall of the Bastille, set loose a tsunami wave of jubilant comments and emotions. Everyone was happy with the changes and celebrated the triumph of the freedom. Moreover, from different corners of Europe, including England, Spain, and Germany, donations were sent to the families of those killed during the assault. It turns out that in the era without technology and online platforms, people managed to carry out large-scale campaigns of solidarity. Regardless of all upheavals of the revolutionary times, a great deal of attention was paid to symbolism as well. For example, one of the keys to the Bastille is still kept in the United States. The revolutionary General Lafayette, at the time, sent it as a symbol of victory of the people to one of the main participants in the American Revolution and the first president of the United States, George Washington. Business also found rewards to reap from all that. Female accessories made from the stones of the Bastille and framed into gold became a new craze of the day across Europe. It was so sexy in the symbolic sense. After all, the Bastille was not just stormed, but completely torn down so that no trace whatsoever was left of the royal arbitrary rule. This story would have ended here had it not been for the next misfortunes that had periodically fallen on France, such as its defeat in war with Prussia, 1870 to 1871, and the bloody suppression of the Paris Commune. In a word, after all those hardships, the country really needed something symbolic that would consolidate the nation and raise its spirits. Although back then, even the concept of PR was not born, there was still a clear understanding of the importance of a thing like that. Now, we come to the most intriguing part, the interpretation of the name of the holidays. Namely, why is the word Bastille not mentioned in its French version? In 1880, when the Republican regime was finally established in France, MP Benjamin Raspail proposed to introduce a national holiday dedicated to capturing of the Bastille, its date being July 14, 1789. Everyone seemed to like the idea, but its details sparked a lot of controversy. Leftist factions in the parliament wanted to celebrate the holiday in accordance with the historical realities of the past, as the day of storming of the Bastille. Meanwhile, the right-wingers opposed the idea, reminding that people died in the course of this act. The noble idea of establishing a national holiday could have ultimately failed amid the ongoing debates had not someone among them suddenly recalled that a year after the assault on Bastille, on July 14, 1790, an extraordinary and peaceful celebration took place in Paris, called the Festival of the Federation. This is where they all came to a common accord. In spite of their passion for revolution, the French showed wisdom and tolerance in this case. They declared July 14th the holiday of the Federation and the unity of the nation. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more videos. Thank you for watching.